Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the love and support. Hope you all are great. So it's just been all over that Joe Scarborough and Mika actually went to meet Donald Trump. And majority of you, if you have been into politics, you definitely will understand that Joe and Mika has really been not in support of Donald Trump. And also, they also made Black people feel like they are in support of Black people and they're also Democrat, right? And that has always been everybody's belief. But there is something I keep telling us when it comes to politics: there is no permanent friend and there is no permanent enemy, right? Today, I might speak against you. The next day, I am switching over. Why? Because that is where my pocket or my stomach will be for that period of time. And this is what Joe and Mika are doing. So what they did all this while is that they used Black people and also Democrats to run their show for the period it lasted. And now, as it stands, they are going to start covering Donald Trump. Why? Because they said they had a meeting, and people are asking, "Why did you have a meeting with him?" And they are saying, "Why not?" This is to tell you that they knew what they are doing and they have never been for you. The earlier we understand that allyship, especially with some people, is very much transactional, you know, the better for us. Stay glued. Let's get into this.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
This is bending the knee. You don't need to meet with the subject to be a journalist. Mika and Joe haven't really been journalists for a very long time, but this kind of solidifies that they're not interested in journalism, because journalism would allow you to be objective about what somebody says and does from afar. You don't need to meet with them in their home after they've been put into positions of power. This is journalistic malpractice. Now, I stopped listening to Joe Scarborough a long time ago because he loves the land of Dixie and has such a hard time understanding that Republicans of his generation were racist until it was shown to him. And then he spent the last 8 years going over and over everything. These discussions are not about policies. The dislike of Trump, the loss of Kamala Harris is not about policy. It's about somebody who is a fascist, an inhumane person, a credibly accused purveyor of sexual assault, a person out of his own mouth who says that he sexually assaults women, a person who said that made fun of Mika's menstrual cycle and her plastic surgery. This is not about his policies. And you can't have it both ways. Either he's the demagogue you said he was or he isn't. Because the bully won the popularity contest, that doesn't cease to make them a bully or a danger to themselves and others. This that happened this weekend was a bending of the knee, and I'm making it clear to us that they are going to restart how they discuss things with him and not hold him accountable for his long history of problematic behavior. You know, in the Black community, we say, I don't break bread with everybody. When you break bread with people, it says something about you, no matter what you report about that breaking of the bread. I want all of the Black people that continue to go on that show to stop. You're not speaking truth to power when you're on power's home turf and they're allowing you to be there. We need to allow these people to dry up in their own pasty places without the benefit of any seasoning or color or other voices. Let the echo chamber of fascism be, and put our energies and our needs towards other directions.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about why I always look at white allies sideways. This is Joe and Mika, and they are the co-hosts of a show on MSNBC called Morning Joe. For literally years, these two have slammed the president-elect Donald Trump. They have talked about how he is a threat to democracy, how his second presidency will represent a dark era in this country's history. They have slammed him over his attempts at election fraud to overturn the 2020 election. They have condemned him for inciting a riot on January the 6th. But the minute he won the election, they did the following.
Regular citizens deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
They went and kissed the ring. Am I the only one that if we have a back and forth for years where I tell you basically I hate everything you are and everything you stand for, that just because something happens beneficial for you, do you think for one moment we are going to start having civil dialogue just because of that? That is why we find it very hard to ever trust white allies, because when the chips are really down, you all are still white. But there's more.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
Not only did they go, but they were welcome. And then they tried to gaslight us on why they went. And they wanted to just start open dialogue.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Said no white accomplice ever. That is the mark of white liberals. And that's why El Haj Malik Shabazz said they were just as dangerous as the wolf. They're just foxes. Now all of a sudden they're calling him President Trump, and they're making personal phone calls. Personal phone calls to somebody you say you haven't spoken to in years, but you still have their personal number to make personal phone calls. So for years, Joe and Mika have just been selling us the banana in the tailpipe. And they ended it on the following note.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Allow me to answer that for you. See, that is the position you can take when the policies that are going to affect the lives directly of black and brown people and people from marginalized groups don't truly affect you. See, that is the mark of a white liberal ally. They always want to find some kind of kumbaya moment because they understand those policies are not going to adversely affect them unless they allow them to. A white accomplice is out here fighting not only with their words, but with their actions. White allies, white liberal allies are all about talk. I said what I said, and you all can keep them.
This is the most pathetic thing you're going to see all day, and I guarantee it's going to piss you off.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
We didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
You two fucking sellouts. You two are as much a reason as any that we even have a Donald Trump today. The way you guys legitimized him back in 2016, and the way that you and all the other people in the media relentlessly attacked Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris while treating Donald Trump with none of the same fury. And now, to protect your own asses and to further your careers, you're willing to sell out this country to Donald Trump. You guys have no fucking morals and no values. This is why, as a nation, we're not going to be able to trust the mainstream media anymore. The Republicans are right about that now because you guys are sellouts. You are on the side of yourselves and not the side of this country. We see you, we know who you are, and we're done with you. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow.
So by now, everybody's heard the story about Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski taking their ass down to Mar-a-Lago to meet President-elect Orange Oompa Loompa Cheeto Man. And some of y'all are shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Let me help you understand something. I'm going to say 3 words. It's going to hurt, but it's time to take the Band-Aid off. Journalism is dead. It's been dead for over 20 years. Actually, it's been over 40. When Reagan got rid of the Fairness Doctrine, that was the first stab at journalism. The second one was when Bill Clinton signed that Telecommunications Act that just brought back monopolies. When the news division had to start turning a profit, journalism died. And it didn't die some, soft death where it just laid in bed. No. That shit got I'm gonna drive your ass out to the woods and put a bullet in the back of your head. Death. Journalism is dead. Why are y'all shocked that Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski took their ass down to fucking Mar-a-Lago to meet President-elect Cheeto Leaning? I'll tell you why they did it. Because Fox and Friends is fucking them up in the ratings. And they have to justify those large-ass contracts that both Mika and Joe get. So guess what? They're going to unfrost relations between the 3 of them. Because journalism is dead. I want y'all to think about this for just a second. Over 90% of news stations across America are owned by 6 companies. 6. Disney owns ESPN and fucking ABC News. Think about that. So anything that's bad for Disney, do you think it's going to be on ABC? Fuck no, it's not. No. At one point, Sinclair Broadcasting, which owns thousands of local news stations, they had your local news people reading these scripts that were against, they were pro one thing and against something else, right? It's true. The only reason Fox News exists, it's not because the news is so left-leaning. It's because there was a market. There was a market for right-wing news. Roger Ailes gets a chance to put all of his bullshit out on public display. And Rupert Murdoch gets a motherfucking news station in America. That's it. That's all. Do you really honestly think the people on Fox News believe half the shit that comes out of their mouth? No, they don't. In fact, y'all think that they beefing with MSNBC, who also doesn't believe half the shit coming out of their fucking mouth. They're not beefing, they're friends. You think Chris Hayes sees Jesse Waters in the middle of the street and shoots the fair one? No, they don't. Because journalism is dead. Here's the thing. A lot of these newspapers and television stations are owned by the billionaire class, the oligarchs. Keeping you educated is a byproduct. That's some, it kind of happened on the way to. They're there to make a profit, look after their wallet, and look after their stock portfolio. And that's it. They keep your ass angry, depressed, pissed off, but you're buying shit. Because that's where they get the money, the ad dollars. And the more eyeballs, the more they can charge for those ads. The more they can charge for those ads, the bigger the paycheck and bigger the stock price. Do you really honestly think these people want you fucking educated? Fuck no. Of course they don't. But they do want you buying shit because we are in a consumer class. And how do you keep people's eyeballs glued to your station? I tell you how. By making sure you are in real good conversations and contacts with the people in power, our politicians, and our oligarch class. Jeff Bezos said this out of his own fucking mouth. He lost a $10 billion fucking contract with the fucking U.S. government when he endorsed Hillary Clinton in the Washington Post over Donald Trump. What did the Washington Post do this year? The owner of the Los Angeles Times has a medical equipment facility or a company that is trying to get contracts with the federal government. What did they not do this year? Now, in the case of the owner of the Los Angeles Times, they said it was because of Gaza. No, the fuck it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was about that bottom line, baby. As long as the bottom line matters, you being intelligent and well-read on some shit doesn't. They don't give a fuck. If you happen to get fucking educated off of some shit that they put on the television, bully for you. They are no longer the fourth estate. They are no longer there to speak truth to power. Now, mind you, there's always been advertising in news, always. Chesterfield cigarettes and things of that nature. But the main job was to give you the truth. The who, the what, the where, the when, and the why. There was no left or right bent to those five. Now, we're going to cater our news to a certain demographic. Fox does it, MSNBC does it, CNN does it, ABC, NBC, CBS. They all do it. All of them. And what do? You consume this shit. And they keep you angry. They keep you hunkered the fuck down, ready to fight, ready for fucking civil war. But they can't do any of that if they don't have any access. So, of course, because the ratings look the way they are, Joe and Mika took their ass down to Mar-a-Lago to meet Cheetolini. Of course they did. Unfrost our relationship. The fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. It was the media that turned our politicians from civil servants to fucking rock stars. Where they think they can just walk past us normies and say whatever the fuck they want to. Do you think Senator Kennedy in Louisiana really talks like that? No, he don't. He talks that corn pone shit because people in Louisiana like that corn pone shit. And why do people in Louisiana like that corn pone shit? Because the news tells them to like that corn pone shit. As far as you being educated, they don't give two fucks if you are or aren't. They looking out for the dough, baby. The stock price. And the only way to get that stock price to go higher and higher is if more people watch. And the only way to get more people to watch is to feed them shit and watch them gobble it the fuck up. You know the difference between all these news organizations and places like fucking One American News or Newsmax or fucking even TYT, the Young Turks, is that these little outliers, they can't get traction. Not like the big boys can, because they're not owned by billionaires. I mean, sure, One American News and Newsmax are, so they can say whatever the fuck they want. And guess who's carrying them? some of your cable stations. Think about that. Some of your cable operators and internet providers are carrying bullshit over real fucking news. They want an uneducated populace, and the shit has been working longer than some of you have been alive. I knew when we were fucked up. When Bill Clinton took his ass on Arsenio Hall to blow the saxophone, bitch, what the fuck that got to do with your policies? When Americans started when the news was asking them, which presidential candidate in 2000, which presidential candidate would you like to have a beer with? They knew right then and there, any person that answered that shit, they was like, these people are stupid. We can give them whatever the fuck they want. Don't be mad. Be honest. If you want true journalism, you're going to have to do the motherfucking work yourself. Because these media organizations don't give a fuck about keeping you educated. They just want you to buy a Tesla, baby. That's it.
When a clown wins the election to presidency, it doesn't change the clown into a president. It changes the country into a circus. This morning, Mika Fabinsky and Joe Scarborough revealed that they spent this weekend with Donald Trump. Now, let's just backtrack for just one quick second. When Donald Trump first came down the escalator, there was somebody that was on one of the news periodicals, that was one of the written ones, and said that they were only putting him in the entertainment page because they found him to be a joke and unserious, right? And Joe and Mika disagreed. And they had, along with Donnie Deutsch, had Donald Trump calling into that show every day, getting free publicity and free airtime. And through that constant domination of the media that began with Joe Scarborough and Mika Fabinsky, and they were on there every day. And Donald Trump would call in every day. And then he became president. And they were horrified and shocked. And then they've spent the last, 8 years talking about how disgusting it is. And Donald Trump has laid Mika Fabinsky out. And Joe has thrown up his hands and gone from thinking the party wasn't racist and kicking people like Tiffany Cross off the show and not having people speak because they directly challenged the racism of Joe Scarborough's past connections and the racism of some of his guests and speakers on the show and the racism of Donald Trump. And then they go up and down and they talk about it every day, day in and day out, how dangerous he is as a fascist, how horrible, how scary. And then he wins the election and they go and they kiss the ring. And then people are like, well, we have to see, he's been elected. He's been elected by the majority of the United States. So the news media needs to sit down with him, somebody that has said that they're going to jail, attack, and potentially kill people of the media that disagree with them. The idea that this 80-year-old man could change, would change, wants to change when he sits in the highest seat in the world is absurd. The idea that they're going there so they can hold him accountable when they haven't been able to do so from their own platforms and haven't met with him in over 8 years, when he has lambasted them, is no different than any of those other cronies and crooks that work for Donald Trump. The country is now a circus. And you going to meet with the clown doesn't change that clown into a proper president or a proper person. It only changes you into a minion to the circus freaks. I stopped watching Morning Joe years ago, but watch how people turn tail. Because the office holds power, so it doesn't matter the person. So again, they reiterate to all of us, we have never lived in a meritocracy. If you can cheat and crook your way to the top, they will kiss your ring. And that's why people keep crooking and cheating their way to the top. I'll tell you all a story about when I first decided that advocacy and allyship doesn't work. It's not going to be where you think. I was in a dance company once, and there was a big choreographer that came in to choreograph on the dance company. And he put two casts of people together, A and B, because he wanted to see both of them work before he made a real first cast and second cast. Now, I had leading roles in both casts. But I was the company dance representative at the time. I represented the dancers. And when this choreographer came back in to see us, he spent a lot of time with the cast A as opposed to cast B. And cast B came to me as company representative and we're like, that's not fair. He spent all this time over there and they said they weren't going to be two casts, yes, and we didn't get the opportunity to work and we didn't get rehearsed the proper way. So we need you to say something because you are the dance advocate. So I called a meeting with the choreographer and the director of the company, and I said, not like that. I said, hey, so some of the cast members feel as though they didn't get an opportunity to work clearly and that they didn't get represented well because it was supposed to be cast A and B, and it still ended up like it was first cast and second cast already, and they didn't get a chance. Now, mind you, I had a prominent role in both casts, so I was speaking on behalf of my other company members. When that meeting was over, and the choreographer and the director of the company were amenable to what I said. They said, we'll take them to revise and we'll make sure we look more closely next time. The people that had directly advocated me, I mean the same people, that the people had directly come to me and said, can you please advocate for me on my behalf as the company representative, went up to the choreographer and said, oh, it wasn't me. I didn't say that. Oh, no, I would never say that. I was fine with it. Rehearsal was fine for me. And I mean, it was literally the same exact people. The next day I resigned from company representative, because I only want to be in spaces with co-conspirators who want to take down systems that are harming us all. I do not want to be in community, and I cannot advocate for someone because advocacy means I'm helping them. They already have to be in the active process of helping themselves so that we are working together. And I was in the privileged point of view. That was when I stopped believing in advocacy and allyship. And it bled right over into my activism work, right over into the rest of the work that I've done in my life. We all have to be going in the same direction, and you have to be already walking or trying to do so before I'm going to say, hey, come with us. That is what Black people are doing in this moment. We're going to advocate for ourselves and be with people who are co-conspirating to take out a system that is harming us all, or to speak truth to power. But we're not going to be pushing from the back while y'all stand on our face.
I just want it said, for this Black American woman, my activism and allyship is transactional. Black people fought in the Revolutionary War. In fact, the first person to die was a Black person named Crispus Attucks. And we were promised freedom for fighting in that war. But we didn't get it. We had slavery for another 100 years. We were promised 40 acres and a mule after slavery. But we got nothing but Jim Crow, while the white slave masters got financial restitution. During the suffragette movement, where Black women were already told to get to the end of the line, women like Ida B. Wells said, as we fight for women's rights, including white women's right to vote, please help us in the fight for the schminching that the Black community deals with. Those white women like Susan B. Anthony that people like to post their stickers on her tombstone, they weren't concerned about that. They wanted white women to get the right to vote. They didn't care about the execution and schmenicide of Black Americans and schminching throughout the country. And in this election, nobody like the Black race turned it out to preserve democracy, or what we were told was preserving democracy, because the idea was Donald Trump was such a fascist. From now on, at least for this Black woman, and if you agree or disagree, let me know, my activism and my allyship is absolutely transactional. I have hundreds of years of history of Black people fighting for other causes, fighting for other races, other genders, other groups, other people on what is right. And they are left behind. Last example I'll give is Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, a Black and Latin trans woman who were the leaders of the queer gay movement, who multiple times spoke out how the queer movement was taken over by white, gay, and lesbian people who completely dismissed them as trans women of color, when they wouldn't have a movement for their liberation without their struggle, their imprisonment, and their fight. If I don't see you doing for my people, Black Americans' liberation, I can't give you my body count. I can't be your slave, your mammy, your mule anymore. Let me know if you agree or disagree.
This is all I got from this video. And, I got to know about this Joe Scarborough and Mika through Black women, because I don't listen to them, right? But when I found out about them, right, I kind of started following up on them. Also, most times, Sister Tabitha, right, usually talk about Joe and Mika. And you all know that the election period also, like, should I say, united Black people with so many things and all that. Following up on politics and also election, right? Now, I understand how disappointed Black people most especially are, but I am not sure I expected anything different because usually what people do during election is always different. But when probably I am supporting candidate A and candidate B wins, they switch over, right, to the candidate B because sometimes it's for them it is not all about some certain things, or you know we should be flexible. I mean, this is what they always say: we should be flexible in some certain things so that we can easily defect right to the next round if there is a, I mean, like, uh, if there is need for that. I don't know if you understand what I am saying. Through my dad, when my father was alive, right, I was able to learn, I mean, like, politics from him, right? One thing I know when it comes to politics is that there is no permanent enemy. It's either you believe this or you leave it. But you start studying this from today. Check from the history of politics, the people that probably did not like a particular candidate at some point in time ended up being with the same candidate. It's just like the way J.D. Vance was like Donald Trump's greatest whatever back then, and now running mate. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Most times they are ready to scatter, to do this and all that. Before you know what is going on, they come back. Like, you see, the same people that said, you are this, you are that, you see them together. And then the people they misled are just going to be there, right? The way some people are finding it so hard to believe that Joe and Mika traveled to somewhere to meet president-elect. They've already started calling president-elect, right? Because she ended up saying, some people will be asking, why did we go to meet him? And she said, why not? Why not? So this is to tell you that whatever you think about them does not matter. Whatever you say about them does not matter. Why? Because they have made up their mind already that this is what they are going to do. And that is who they are, right? Probably they were supporting, I mean, Kamala Harris because they felt like, or maybe, with the hopes and everybody, we all expected Kamala Harris to win. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So to them, they all actually tried gambling, right? And it failed for them. They are switching over to the next available person, or either they have never ever been with us or been with Black people or whoever people, like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So two things involved: that they were never even allies, right? Two, they have to go with the flow because money also got to be involved. The show got to continue. They have to make money because it is politics. Because in politics, there is no permanent enemy. If you learn this, you will have peace after election. And as we are also mourning and are feeling sad over what happened, I want us to also know that a lot of people might end up defecting to the other party. Watch out. Your favorite celebrities, your favorite politicians, or I mean, like, content create and the rest of them, you might end up seeing other people defect to the other party. This is how it is. You have to know this and know this. And for Black people, there is nothing like allyship. Allyship died way, 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 way back. I do not believe in that thing anymore. And that is on period. For those that believe in it, I cannot tell you not to stop or continue. But Ifunanya, my name is Ifunanya. My full Igbo name is Ifunanya. My English name is Eve Jacqueline. Do not believe in allyship. Naya Sim, do not believe in allyship. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.